Hello, Tanea here with TPK Feng Shui and Design, where I help people create inspiring, rejuvenating, relaxing places to live and work through Feng Shui and Design. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about mindset. I wanted to share with you a mindset hack that has been incredibly important in my own work, in my own space, and also in the work that I do with clients, because I find that in the work that I do with people, so often we have these desires. We get really clear about what we want in life, and we have these desires. Everyone does, about what you want, and then it can be difficult to make those come into fruition, right? And so it's really important to look at your mindset and the limiting beliefs that you hold in your subconscious mind often that are holding you back from living the life you desire. So we're gonna go through a couple questions today that are gonna help you uncover those limiting beliefs for you in your life. And you can pause the video as we go through if you want to answer those questions right now, or you can jot them down and answer them this evening when you have 10 minutes, whenever that looks like for you. So the first question that you're looking at is, where are you now? Right, in your life, in this area of your life where you're suffering, where you want things to change, where are you now? What does that look like, right? Getting clear about what that looks like. And then more importantly, where do you want to be? In an ideal world where you're not worrying about the hows, you're just really getting clear on what you do want. Because without knowing what you want in your life, it's really impossible to go about achieving that, right? It's really impossible for that to come into your life because you don't even know what it is. So we're getting really clear right now on what it is that we want. And then the third question that I want you to ask is, what's the problem? Why am I not already there? This is where I am. This is where I want to be. Why am I not there already? Okay, so that last question is one that is going to bring up a fair number of limiting beliefs, right? Often, and it's good to just really brain dump and get everything down. Just get it down, whether or not you know that it's true. Just what are the stories that are cycling around in your head about why you can't get where you want to go? Okay, because that's going to bring up the limiting beliefs. And once you bring up those limiting beliefs, you become aware of them. That is this huge first step in allowing yourself to live this life you desire, in allowing yourself to have stories that are cycling in your head that are supportive of that story rather than working in conflict with that story. So I'm going to give you an example. So say that, I'm going to give you an example that's very pertinent to the work that I do. Say that you live in a home, you want to live in a home that is easy to maintain, that allows you to relax and rejuvenate at the end of the day, okay? And where you are now is your home feels overwhelming when you walk in at the end of the day. It's a source of stress and it's exhausting just to look at it. And so what's the problem, right? Why am I not living in this home that's supportive and easy to maintain and stress-free? And so when I think about that in the process that I went through, for me personally and for a lot of people that I work with, but I would say that, well, I have a family and a partner and their stuff adds to the chaos, their stuff is everywhere, and I don't have the time or the energy after a long day to do anything about that. And when I do pick up, everything really devolves again back into chaos in a few hours, so why bother? Okay, that sounds pretty familiar, right? So let's break down that what the problem is, why you're not where you want to be in that example. So the first thing that really pops out for me in that is that everyone else's stuff is the problem, right? I live in a space with these other people and their stuff is everywhere. And 99% of the clients that I work with, when we begin our work together, that's what they would say. Everyone else's stuff is really driving me crazy. Their stuff is everywhere. And when you really get to the heart of it, in the heart of the work that I do with my clients, people have 6 months worth of work to do on their own stuff, their own things, on releasing the things that don't bring them joy before they even touch on anyone else's stuff, right? And so when you have this story in your head that everyone else's stuff is the problem, all of a sudden you can't really do much about that because you don't control other people's stuff, right? They do, unless those people are under the age of 8 or 10 or 12, right? And then you do control it. But up until that point, everyone else, they control their own stuff. And so immediately that responsibility flies out of your own hands and you think you have no control over it and you can't do anything about it. Right? So immediately that limiting beliefs makes it impossible for you to do anything about the problem. So anything else about that? So you always deal with your own stuff first, and you have plenty of things to deal with, even when you're a person who has purged and culled for a decade like myself. I was really caught in that trap. I really thought my husband could stand to part with a lot of his things, whereas I felt like I had really culled down my things. And living in that state is not, it's not a helpful place to live in terms of your relationship. It's not a helpful place to live in terms of your sense of responsibility and your ability to control your own life. So the second thing that came up, what the problem was in terms of wanting to live in a space that was relaxing and rejuvenating and stress-free, was that I didn't have the time or the energy to deal with all this stuff, right? And that one's really interesting because it's cyclical, right? So you don't have the time or the energy to deal with your things because you have so many things that take up your time and your energy. And I want to be really clear on that because your things take up more time and energy. They sap more time and energy than people really realize, right? We have to fix our things that break. We find homes for our things. We have to put things away constantly that we've taken out and not put back in the right place. We bring new things into our home. We have to deal with conflicts that arise between our children because they are fighting over the things, right? There's lots and lots of ways in which we spend a lot of time and energy and mental capacity around all this stuff in our space. Except, for example, when you walk into your home and you think, oh, this is so overwhelming and I'm exhausted, and all that mental time where you're spent in that state of overwhelm and exhaustion and stress, that's all time that you would not be spending if you had fewer things. And so your things take up a lot of your time, right? So yes, all of our lives are full and busy, right? We have a limited amount of time and we sort of have a limited amount of energy, right? But when people give themselves the time and the energy to deal with their things, they have a lot more free time and they have a lot more energy that they glean from the process. So in the work that I do with people, when they are getting into their own things and they deal with their own things first, everyone around them 99% of the time will follow suit, will want what they have. They are witnessing this person go through a process that affords them more energy and more inspiration than they have felt in their space in a long time. And so the people around you really want that also. And all of a sudden, they want to start going through the process too. So you deal with your own things, it inspires other people to deal with their things. And as you're going through the process, you're gleaning more energy from the process. And as you cull things down, you're gleaning more time, right? All of a sudden, everyone that I've worked with has said, I'm so amazed by how much time I have. I have time to get back to my music. I have time to get back to all these different things that they love that were just on the back burner before because of all this stuff that was taking up their space, right? So the time piece is a really interesting limiting belief that almost everyone holds. I don't have enough time. But the thing about that is when you say I don't have enough time, what that really means is it's not a priority for me. Okay? And that's all right, right? Everyone has priorities in their life, but you really got to own that. So is it a priority to arrive home to a space that is relaxing and stress-free? If so, then it's time to drill down into how to make that happen. It's time to really become aware of that limiting belief so that you're able to live in a space, you're able to come up with the ideas and the inspirations and have the coincidences in your life that allow you to live in that stress-free and supportive environment that's easy to maintain, okay? So the other thing that came up in that problem, this is the third thing that came up. First there was everyone else's stuff is the problem, then I don't have the time and I don't have the energy. And then the third thing is that everything devolves again into chaos. And so why bother, right? So any mom out there is really going to resonate with that one. But even if you live on your own or if you have a partner, right, we are really good at taking things out and not putting them right where they belong. almost everybody is really good at that. And so the thing about that everything devolving into chaos, that's the natural state of things in life, right? If we don't intervene, then everything devolves into chaos, right? You don't fix your car and it develops problems and all of a sudden it doesn't work, right? Like some things have a longer time frame, but everything will devolve. That's the natural state of things. And so we still bother to take the rotting things out of our fridge, right? We still bother to do our laundry even though our clothes are going to get dirty again. And so that belief that why should I even do anything about it because it's just going to become a mess again anyway is one that is not in sync with the rest of your life, right? That's true of everything, but you do it anyway. And I'm not necessarily saying that when you get home at the end of your long day and you're exhausted and you're tired that that's the time to deal with all of these things and that's the time to dive into these things. But it is important to become aware of how your beliefs are limiting you from living the life that you want, because those 3 beliefs right there are enough to stop you in your tracks and not allow you to live in a home that is supportive, that inspires you, that gives you energy rather than sapping the energy from you. So when you have these limiting beliefs, these stories cycling in your subconscious, you are instantly remove the responsibility from your hands, remove the control from you to be able to do anything about it. You literally throw up your hands and blame it on someone else, and you effectively tell yourself that you don't have the time and the energy and it's fruitless, so there's no point. But when you become aware of these beliefs that limit you, when they come into your conscious mind, that is this huge first step in living your life on your own terms. Because when you desire something, but you have a limiting belief that holds you back, that desire cannot come into fruition. It can't because your mind is actively working against your desire. So not only will that desire not come into fruition, but the state of mind, the state of your life will continue to be one of stress and frustration and overwhelm. So I want you to take a look at those questions in an area of your life where you feel like you want to make some changes, an area of your life where you are suffering and you're having a hard time. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? And what's the problem? Let things flow and then go back to what's the problem and underline the limiting beliefs that you see, the beliefs that you hold in your head that are not true, that are making it really difficult for you to live the life that you want. And I want you to go and uncover those beliefs, and because they're holding you back from living this amazing life that you deserve to live. So with that, I'll leave you, and we'll have more feng shui tips coming up soon, but the mindset piece is a really important piece that I wanted to touch on today and share that mind hack with you so that you too can live the life you desire.